Hello, chess friends. Today I want to show you a short but quite a remarkable game that was played in London in 1912. Although this game features a truly spectacular sacrifice, what makes it stand out even more is how a king is forced to march the whole length of the chessboard to his doom. So with the white pieces, we have Edward Lasker, not to be confused with world champion Emmanuel Lasker. This is a different player. And with the black pieces, George Allen Thomas. And Edward Lasker starts with 1d4, and Thomas replies with a Dutch defense. And now Lasker goes for the so-called Staunton Gambit with 2e4. And after black takes, we have knight c3. And defending the pawn is actually not as simple as you might think, because if you play now d5, then white has queen h5 check, and then queen takes pawn, and in this position white is much better, for example, because the e4 pawn is quite weak and will most likely fall. So black played here after knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, and the same goes for d5 in this position. Then white can take the knight and then give the check on h5 and so forth. So after e6, white can now take the pawn, bishop e7, breaking the pin, bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, knight f3, and black castles, and bishop d3. So white has a very nice position here with all of his remaining minor pieces out and ready to castle if he so chooses. Black now played b6, and in this position, Edward Lasker actually made a mistake. This is not a flawless game. He played knight e5, and we'll get to why that is a mistake. He had better options. He could have, for example, castled and followed the opening principles. He could also have played queen e2, which would have been a good move, and could have played a move like c3, strengthening his d4 pawn, and he could have played also the ambitious h4 with great attacking chances. So after knight e5, why is this a mistake? Black actually didn't find the right move here, which was bishop takes e5, and after d takes e5, knight c6. Now actually white can't defend the pawn on e5. This pawn actually here can't be defended. If you try queen h5, then rook f5 actually is going to win this pawn on e5, and black is just much better. So black missed this after knight e5 and played bishop b7. And here again, white's next move is not perfect. He played the ambitious queen h5, which is also a slight mistake, and we'll get to why that is. Again, castling would have been a good move, but queen h5 now actually runs into the same move as before, which is bishop takes e5. And for example, if after queen takes e5, then knight c6 and the pawn on d4 will fall. For example, after queen h5, now black can either take the pawn actually, so like this, and the move knight f6 would win after queen takes f6, but not after rook takes f6, and black would be winning in that case. And black also has an even stronger move here, which is g6, and then taking the pawn, and black is better. So if we go a little bit back here, after bishop takes e5, this was queen takes e5. If you try to take with the pawn, then rook f5 wins the pawn like before, like this. And in this position, actually, white has the move knight d2. And so now you can't take the pawn, because then there's going to be a forced checkmate like this. So knight d2 is a clever move. And after g6, queen takes e5, the position is equal. And in case you're wondering, it would be a mistake to take the pawn on g2 here, because after rook g1, bishop b7, white is actually completely winning here. After bishop takes g6, and if pawn takes, then rook takes, king f7, rook g7 check, king e8, queen h5, and checkmate, like this. So now you might be wondering, wasn't white supposed to do something clever in this game? And indeed he is going to do that, because black didn't find the move bishop takes e5 in this position after queen h5. Instead he played queen e7. And now the fireworks are going to start quite spectacularly. The next move is, in my opinion, one of the most amazing moves in chess history. So you might want to pause and contemplate what that move might be. I'm going to show the move now. It is queen takes h7 check, a queen sacrifice. Beautiful queen sacrifice. That black is now forced to take this queen, and this is the start of the really long march of the black king to the other side of the chessboard, where he meets his end. And now white has a fairly obvious move, I suppose it is, and it is the double check and also a discovered check, and knight takes f6. So as you can see here, there are two pieces giving a check here, and black now only has two legal moves. So the power of double checks is that then the opponent has to move his king in every case when there's a double check. And he only has two options, like I said before. If he goes to h8, then knight g6 is quite a pretty checkmate. So black didn't do that in the game. Instead, he played the other move, king h6. But now there's going to be a series of checks, more checks. And the first one is knight eg4. And from now on, black will only have one square available for his king in each case. So now in this position, it is g5. You can see for yourself that there are no other squares available for the black king. So king g5. And can you guess white's next move here? It is h4 check. And again, if you look at all of the squares surrounding the black king, then you will see that the only available square is now f4. So that's what he played. And what is the next move for white? The next check is g3. And again, the black king only has one square available, which is f3. And we're going to give another check. Can you see what that check is? Bishop e2. And again, the black king only has one square, the g2 square. And we're going to give another check now. That check is rook h2. And once again, the black king only has one square available, which is g1. And as you can see, the black king not that long ago was on g8, but is now on g1. So that is quite amazing. If you know of any other examples from chess history where this happens, then feel free to share that in the comments. Now, Edward Lasker played the move king d2, and this is checkmate in 18 moves. He could have also played the move long castles, which also would have been checkmate, and obviously just a matter of taste. I think personally I would have castled, because it's kind of fun to castle and checkmate at the same time. What would you have done? Let us know in the comments below. But king d2 was played, and an 18-move checkmate from Edward Lasker. So that's it. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.